Imagine losing the love of your life, spending years rebuilding yourself piece by piece, and then one ordinary morning, you see him standing there like no time has passed at all. For Amy Fleming, that impossible moment is about to shatter everything. She thought she knew about grief, love, and letting go. What happens next will leave even the strongest Heartland fans reaching for tissues. 5 years. That's how long it's been since Ty Borden took his last breath in Amy's arms. 5 years! Since Heartland lost its heart, and Amy lost a man who understood her better than anyone else ever could. The ranch is still standing, the horses still need care, and life has somehow continued. But anyone who looks closely at Amy Fleming can see that she's been running on autopilot, doing what needs to be done while a part of her soul remains frozen. In that horrible moment when Ty slipped away, Amy is a mother now, raising Lyndy on her own. At 10 years old, Lyndy has her father's kind eyes and her mother's stubborn determination. She asks questions about Ty constantly, wanting to know every story, every detail about the man she barely remembers. Amy tells these stories with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, painting pictures of a father who was brave and gentle and loved his daughter more than anything. But late at night, when Lyndy is asleep and the house falls silent, Amy sits by the window and wonders if she's doing enough, if she's strong enough, if Ty would be proud of the mother she's become. The ranch has changed in ways both big and small. Jack is older now, moving a little slower but still the steady foundation that holds everyone together. Lou has her own family and responsibilities, but she checks on Amy almost every day, worried about the sister who seems to be stuck in a holding pattern. Georgie visits when she can, bringing stories from her own life that feel like they're happening in a different world. Everyone has moved forward in their own way, except Amy. She's still standing in the same place, afraid that moving on means forgetting, that healing means betraying the love she shared with Ty. Her work with horses continues because that's the one thing that still makes sense. When she's in the round pen with a troubled horse, she can lose herself in the work. She can hear Ty's voice in her head, reminding her to be patient, to listen, to trust her instincts. Sometimes she catches herself turning to share an observation with him, only to find empty space where he should be. Those moments hit her like a punch to the chest, stealing her breath and forcing her to remember all over again that he's gone. People have tried to set her up on dates. Well-meaning friends who think 5 years is long enough to grieve, who believe she deserves to find love again. Amy politely declines every time. How can she explain that nobody else will ever understand the silent language she shared with Ty? How can she make them see that she's not avoiding love? She's just protecting the sacred space where her heart still belongs to someone who can't come back. She wears her wedding ring on a chain around her neck now, hidden under her shirt but always there. A constant reminder of promises that death couldn't break. It starts small, so small that Amy convinces herself she's imagining things. A gate left open that she knows she closed. Ty's favorite coffee mug sitting on the kitchen counter when she's certain it was put away in the back of the cupboard months ago. His jacket, the one she couldn't bear to donate, draped over the barn door instead of hanging in the tack room, where she keeps it like a shrine. Amy tells herself she's being forgetful, that grief is playing tricks on her mind. But deep down, something feels different about the ranch lately, like the air itself is charged with an energy she can't quite name. The horses notice it first. Harley, the gelding that Ty trained in his final year, has been acting strange for weeks. The horse stands at the fence line every morning, ears pricked forward, watching something that no one else can see. He whinnies softly into the empty field, the same greeting he used to give when Ty came home from work. Amy watches this behavior with a mixture of concern and something else, something that feels dangerously close to hope. Animals are sensitive to things humans miss. She knows this. But what could Harley be sensing? What invisible presence is commanding his attention day after day? Then there's the journal. Amy found Ty's old training journal in the loft last week while looking for some old saddle blankets. She's read it 100 times over the years, tracing his handwriting with her fingers, imagining his voice speaking the words. But this time, when she opened it, there were new entries, fresh ink on pages she knows were blank before. The handwriting looks exactly like Ty's, documenting work with horses that haven't been on the ranch in years, observations about Lyndy's growth, notes about Amy's training methods. Her hands shook so badly she dropped the journal. When she picked it up again, the new pages were gone, leaving only the original entries she'd memorized long ago. Jack noticed something odd too, though he hasn't mentioned it to Amy yet. Tools appearing in different places, organized the exact way Ty used to arrange them. The veterinary supplies were stocked in an order that only Ty ever used. One morning, Jack found fresh hoof prints leading to the old cabin where Ty and Amy first lived together, prints that appeared overnight when no one had been near that part of the property. He spent 70 years on this ranch and seen many things he can't explain, but this feels different. This feels personal. Lou experienced her own strange moment last Tuesday. She was in Amy's house dropping off groceries when she heard someone upstairs, footsteps in Lyndy's room. She called out, thinking Amy had come home early, but got no response. When she climbed the stairs to investigate, she found Lyndy's room empty, but every single photo of Ty had been turned face forward, standing upright like someone had carefully arranged them. Lou knows Amy keeps those photos face down sometimes. When the grief gets too heavy, someone or something had other ideas. The storm arrives without warning on a Tuesday afternoon, the kind of sudden weather that turns the Alberta sky black and sends horses racing for shelter. Amy is in the far pasture checking on a pregnant mare when the first drops hit, cold and sharp against her skin. She needs to get back to the barn, but something stops her, a feeling she can't name, pulling her toward the old creek bed where she and Ty used to ride together on quiet evenings. Her logical mind screams at her to turn around, to get out of the rain, but her feet carry her forward like they belong to someone else. The creek is swollen from the downpour, rushing over rocks that are usually dry this time of year. Amy stands on the bank, soaked to the bone, and that's when she sees him. Not a ghost, not a memory, but Ty, solid and real and standing 20 feet away on the opposite side of the water, looking exactly as he did the last time she saw him, healthy and whole. He's wearing his favorite blue shirt, the one she buried deep in her closet because it still smelled like him. His hair is wet from the rain, his eyes locked on hers with an intensity that makes her knees weak. Amy's breath catches in her throat. This isn't possible. This violates every law of nature, every rule of death and life. But he's there, as real as the rain on her face, as solid as the ground beneath her feet. She tries to speak, but no words come out. Just a choked sound that's half sob, half disbelief. Ty doesn't move, doesn't come closer, just stands there watching her with a look of such profound love and sadness that Amy feels her heart splitting open all over again. The rain falls harder now, creating a curtain of water between them, but she can still see him clearly, too clearly for this to be her imagination. Then he speaks, and his voice cuts through the storm like it's coming from right beside her. Not the distant echo of a memory, but his actual voice with all its warmth and rough edges. He says her name, just Amy, the way he used to say it when he came home after a long day, the way he said it on their wedding night, the way he whispered it with his last breath. That single word contains everything. 5 years of absence, an eternity of love, and something else. A message. He needs to tell her something. She can feel the urgency radiating from him across the rushing water. Amy takes a step toward the creek, her boots sinking into the mud. Ty shakes his head, a small gesture that stops her cold. Don't cross, he seems to be saying without words. Stay where you are. The water between them suddenly feels significant, like a boundary that shouldn't be violated, a line between worlds that must remain intact. Amy's hands are shaking, her whole body trembling from cold and shock and the overwhelming need to touch him, to prove he's real, to wrap her arms around him one more time. But Ty starts talking, his words coming faster now. He tells her things only he could know. The nightmare Lyndy had last Thursday about losing her favorite stuffed horse. The way Amy has been considering selling the south pasture but can't bring herself to sign the papers. How she still sleeps on only one side of their bed, leaving his side untouched like he might come home and need the space. He knows because he's been there somehow, watching over them in ways Amy never imagined possible. He's seen every tear she's cried, every smile she's forced, every moment she's been strong for Lyndy while breaking apart inside. The dam breaks. 5 years of carefully controlled grief explodes out of Amy in a wail that echoes across the empty pasture. She drops to her knees in the mud, her whole body racked with sobs that have been building since the moment she lost him. This isn't the quiet, dignified crying she's allowed herself in private moments. This is raw, ugly, completely uncontrolled anguish pouring out of her like a wound that never healed, just got covered over with scar tissue that's finally tearing open. Ty's face crumples with pain watching her fall apart. He takes a step toward the water, his hand reaching out across the impossible distance between them, and Amy sees tears streaming down his face too. But he still doesn't cross. He can't cross. Some barrier exists that even this miraculous moment can't break through. His mouth moves, forming words she can barely hear over her own crying, over the storm, over the roaring in her ears. "I'm sorry," he's saying. "I'm so sorry, Amy. Sorry for leaving. Sorry for the pain. Sorry for not being there to watch Lyndy grow up. Sorry for every single moment she's had to be strong alone." Amy can't breathe. The grief is suffocating her. 5 years of it compressed into this single moment. She's been the strong one for so long. Strong for Lyndy, who needed a mother who could function. Strong for Jack and Lou, who were dealing with their own loss. Strong for the ranch, the horses, the clients who depended on her. But here now, with Ty watching her with those eyes that see straight into her soul, she doesn't have to be strong anymore. She can finally break down the way she needed to the day he died but couldn't because there was a daughter to comfort and funeral arrangements to make and a life to somehow continue living. Through her tears, Amy starts talking back to him, words stumbling out in a desperate rush. She tells him about all the moments he missed. Lyndy's first day of school, her first ribbon at a horse show, the way she laughs exactly like he used to. She tells him about the dark days when getting out of bed felt impossible, when she questioned whether she could do this alone, when the loneliness was so crushing she could barely function. She tells him things she's never said out loud to anyone. How angry she was at him for dying, for leaving her, for breaking his promise that they'd grow old together. How guilty that anger made her feel. How scared she is that she's failing Lyndy by not being enough, by not being both mother and father. Ty listens to every word, his expression shifting between heartbreak and something that looks almost like peace. When Amy finally runs out of words, when her voice gives out from crying and yelling and releasing everything she's kept locked away, he speaks again. This time his voice is clearer, cutting through the rain with supernatural clarity. "You're not failing her," he says. "You're exactly the mother she needs. Look at what you've built, Amy. Look at how strong you've become. I'm not here because you need saving. I'm here because you needed to know that I see you, that I've always been there, that love doesn't end just because I did." The words hit Amy like a physical force. She rocks back on her heels, still kneeling in the mud, her hands pressed against her chest like she's trying to hold her heart inside her body. Around them, the rain begins to soften, the storm passing as quickly as it arrived. The sky lightens gradually, gray clouds giving way to patches of pale blue. Ty's image starts to fade slightly, becoming translucent at the edges, and Amy realizes, with fresh panic, that he's leaving again. This moment, whatever impossible gift it's been, is ending. She scrambles to her feet, reaching toward him desperately. "Don't go," she begs. "Please don't go. Not yet. I'm not ready." But even as she says it, she knows that's not true. Some deep part of her, the part that's been frozen for 5 years, is finally thawing. The tears on her face aren't just grief anymore. They're release. They're acceptance. They're the beginning of something new that doesn't erase what she had, but makes room for what comes next. Ty smiles at her, that beautiful smile she fell in love with a lifetime ago, and mouths 3 final words she feels more than years. "Let me go." Amy stands alone in the pasture as Ty's image dissolves completely into the clearing air, leaving nothing but the sound of dripping water and her own ragged breathing. The creek has already started to recede, the storm passing as impossibly, fast as it arrived. She looks down at her mud-covered jeans, her trembling hands, searching for proof that what just happened was real and not some grief-induced hallucination. But something fundamental has shifted inside her chest, like a locked door finally swinging open after years of being sealed shut. She takes a deep breath, the first full breath she's taken in what feels like forever, and it doesn't hurt the way breathing used to hurt. Walking back to the barn, Amy's mind races through the implications of what Ty said. Let me go. Not forget me. Not stop loving me. But let me go. The distinction feels enormous, like he's given her permission she didn't know she needed. For 5 years she's been holding onto him so tightly that she couldn't hold onto anything else. She's been so afraid that moving forward meant betraying their love, that healing meant erasing him from her heart. But Ty came back, crossed whatever boundary separates life from death, just to tell her the opposite. He's been watching, he's seen her struggle, and he wants her to live, really live, not just exist in the shadow of what they had together. The revelation settles over her like a warm blanket. Her relationship with Ty doesn't end just because he's gone. It evolves. It becomes something different, something that doesn't require her to stay frozen in grief to honor it. She can love him forever and still open her heart to new experiences, new connections, maybe even new love someday. The wedding ring hanging around her neck suddenly feels lighter, less like an anchor and more like a treasured keepsake. She doesn't have to hide it or display it. It can just be, the way memories can just be, precious without being prison bars. Inside the barn, Amy finds Jack mucking out stalls, his weathered face creasing with concern when he sees her soaked and covered in mud. Before he can ask if she's all right, Lyndy comes running from the house, her small face lighting up with excitement. "Mommy, Mommy!" she shouts. "You won't believe what just happened. I was looking at Dad's pictures and I felt like he was right there in the room with me, like he was hugging me. It was so real." Amy's breath catches. Lyndy experienced it too. Whatever happened wasn't just in Amy's head. Ty reached out to both of them, his 2 girls, giving them both what they needed to move forward. Amy kneels down and pulls Lyndy into a fierce hug, not caring about the mud transferring onto her daughter's clean clothes. "I believe you," she whispers. "I felt him too. And you know what he told me? That he's so proud of you, and that it's okay for us to be happy again." Lyndy pulls back, her young face serious beyond her years. "Does that mean we can talk about him without you getting that sad look?" Amy feels tears threatening again, but these are different tears. "Yes, sweetheart. We can talk about him all you want. And I promise I'll smile when we do, because remembering him should make us happy, not just sad." Jack watches this exchange with knowing eyes. He suspected for weeks that something was building toward a breaking point, some spiritual reckoning that Amy needed to go through. The ranch has always had a way of providing what people need when they need it, even if that means bending the rules of reality sometimes. He doesn't need to know the details of what happened in that pasture. He can see the change in Amy's face, the way she's standing taller, the way light has returned to eyes that have been dim for far too long. That evening, Amy does something she hasn't done in 5 years. She opens Ty's closet, the one she's kept sealed like a time capsule, and starts going through his things, not to pack them away or get rid of them, but to really look at them, to touch them without falling apart. She finds his old rodeo buckle and decides Lyndy should have it when she's older. His favorite book about natural horsemanship goes on the shelf in the living room where people can actually see it. His truck keys, she realizes, she's been keeping in her pocket like a talisman. She hangs them on the hook by the door where they belong. Each item she touches feels like releasing a small piece of the weight she's been carrying, not forgetting but rather integrating his memory into her life in a healthier way. She pulls out her phone and does something that would have been impossible yesterday. She texts the number of that nice veterinarian who asked her to coffee 3 months ago, the one she turned down automatically without even considering. Her fingers hover over the keyboard for a long moment before she types a simple message. "If the offer is still open, I'd like to take you up on that coffee." Her heart pounds as she hits send, A mix of guilt and excitement and fear and hope swirling together. But underneath all of it is a new certainty. Ty would want this for her. He proved it by coming back to tell her exactly that. The next morning, Heartland Ranch feels different. The horses seem calmer, the air lighter. Amy walks through the barn with Lyndy chattering beside her about school and friends and a boy in her class who thinks horses are boring. Amy laughs, at her daughter's indignant defense of horses. She catches her reflection in the tack room mirror and barely recognizes the woman looking back. She looks younger somehow, like years of tension have melted from her face overnight.